All right. Well, good afternoon, Amber. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, as always.
It's so fun to do these things and
Mhm.
talk about what's going on in real estate. And so, there's a lot happening. I'm just going to go right into it. A lot happening on the national level. We're hearing a lot of noise about just tons of headlines coming in. And so Mike Del Prete said at a recent Inman presentation, he said the industry is moving very slowly, but it's never moved this fast. And he's right. I mean, you look at it like we are seeing leadership changes. Josh Team announced today that he's leaving Keller Williams, where he's been the president of Keller Williams for, a couple of years. And that's a kind of big shakeup there. He's been very much in that leadership position for a long time. Last week, Redfin announced their $608 million acquisition of RentPath as Redfin gets more into the rental side or the rental market of our, within real estate. And of course, Zillow made their announcement of the $500 million acquisition of ShowingTime, and that has definitely ruffled some feathers in this industry. Um, it's just all happening, and this is all in the last less than 2 weeks that this has all come out. And, even though the presentation that Del Prete gave it was in January, and he was talking about, in the same presentation, he talked about 5 major mega trends to look for in 2021. And even though it's only been like not even 2 months into the year, we're definitely seeing examples of all of it. And so just kind of as you're watching what's happening out there, things to be, mindful of. The first one that he talked about is that portals are moving closer to the transaction. And, this is example can be seen in that Zillow acquisition of ShowingTime. And also Zillow Homes, that brokerage launched in Phoenix and other markets in January 1st of this year. The second one he talked about was agents as employees, where, and you look at Homey, Redfin, Zillow, Rex, there's a bunch of these organizations, and they're coming out even more and more with agent employees. It's really all about control. This is how these organizations can really structure and say, this is how our business is going to be set up. And it's very, very controlled. The third one that he talks about are basically the new models are here to stay. iBuyers are not going away, even though we haven't seen any of them be profitable at all yet. But when Opendoor went public at the end of late December, they came into $1 billion in cash. They have $1 billion to figure out how to get profitable. That's a lot of money to go pretty far. Number 4 that he talks about is the battle for adjacent services. Now, the most lucrative are lending and title, and that speaks very close to Amber and me, right to our heart when we talk about that. But it also includes, moving concierge services, renovation services, inspection services. So we're seeing a lot more of these kind of ancillary services come in. Homey has done a really good job of selling their ancillary services. It is, that's why they have become a quickly profitable startup, where a lot of them are still trailing behind. And speaking of which, is number 5, and he said this is going to really be kind of like the biggest trend of the year, is asymmetric disruption. And basically it's these giant outside companies, they come in with just so much venture capitalist money just piled behind them that they don't need to make any money. For example, when a company can stand to lose 600 million and not lose any of its reputation or strength as a market leader, that's kind of significant. And you think about, like, so Del Prete gave this example where he goes, playing against these disruptors is, they're playing by different rules. He said that it's basically playing against a baseball team that gets 100 outs per inning. You're not competing against, you're competing against a company that doesn't have to make money, which is very hard in our industry, because we've all been, kind of grassroots entrepreneur, where you make money, you survive, you don't make money, you don't survive. Why these big companies don't make money yet survive is mind-boggling to so many in our industry. And it's just going to continue happening as we're watching it already 6-8 weeks into the year. So there's a lot going on. Be very mindful of what's happening at that national level, because all of it trickles down and impacts us directly and impacts our buyers and sellers directly. So we want to make sure that we're just kind of keeping a pulse on what's happening out there. Little, kind of talking a little closer to home, you really think about, we know it's tough out there. We know where there's fewer than 4,400 active listings available right now. It's the seller's market is intense, but keep in mind, and I know Amber is going to talk about this, but keep in mind, this is such a good time to buy. So buyers, it's taken a little bit longer. It's tough out there, but it's still definitely worth to get into this market because home ownership is definitely worth it. So we want to just say, hey, we want to encourage our buyers and keep up that fight because you will find property and you will get into that house. So want to say that. And I know Amber has a lot of things that she's done on her end to make it easier for buyers that you're working with, and you're happy to share your ideas. So Amber, tell us what you're seeing out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's super hard. We're sending a lot of pre-qualification letters and not getting a lot of contracts back in, but we're doing everything we can to help clients win right now. So a couple of things that are really working is doing everything possible to avoid writing a contingent offer. And so we're looking at what can we do to buy before we sell? Where can we get the down payment funds if the down payment is trapped as equity in the home? One of the options is a bridge loan. Guild just rolled out an internal bridge loan product that's super sweet that we can use to help them access those funds. As long as they can qualify with the new home and the current home, we can look to help them buy before they sell. The other thing is we have an appraisal gap strategy that we're using very proactively and talking to our clients in that consultation about the market and, just coming from someone other than their realtor about how competitive it is and how aggressive they're going to need to be in their offer, and not trying to, get out of our wheelhouse, but just saying, hey, there's a good chance that your realtor is going to advise you in offering over the list price to win the house if you find the home that's yours that you need to have. And so I want to show you what your options look like to go in aggressive when you find that home you really want to win. And I just showed a client how they could offer 15,000 over the appraised value, not the list price, but 15,000 over the appraised value, and it was going to cost them $2,700 out of pocket to make up that gap. And so they're just that much more willing to go in there and make that strong offer when they know that they can afford it. It's not going to affect them negatively. And they're prepared when they get in that car with you and when they're writing that offer up. So make sure that your clients know all of their strategies proactively before making the offer so that you're not trying to convince them of these things or suggesting them to them, in the moment or after they've, we have clients that just keep losing, right? And they're just frustrated and they start to talk about another realtor or someone else maybe is going to be able to get me the house that I want. And so that true partnership between the lender and the realtor, where you're like, it's not your realtor, they're amazing. Like, one of the best decisions you made was hiring the realtor that you did because they are your asset in getting you under contract. We just need to maybe restructure the offers that you're making, and also reminding them that when you're going up against cash, it's hard. But last weekend, we just had a client win against 2 cash offers. They said because we were on the pre-qual and they know us, the agent did a great job writing a really clean offer. He summarized his offer in the email. He called, he did all those right things. And it was a really strong offer. And so the seller wanted someone that they knew was going to occupy the house to own it. And he wrote a letter to the seller. So it's like everyone did their part and he beat out cash offers. So it's not impossible out there.
Amazing.
Just takes the right situation, the right structure. So,
and you know what you talk about, like, there's the human element, using the human element in that, he did his homework and put that offer together. I mean, that's impressive.
Yeah,
it worked.
Yeah, and it worked. It's still possible. And the other thing is interest rates, right? They are on the rise. We've seen them go up about 0.3% here in the last week to 2 weeks. And what's happening is a lot of different things, but interest rates were super duper low for a variety of reasons, but mostly because we entered that, that recession and demand was low, and the Fed came in and they bought mortgage-backed securities and they drove down the interest rates, and they're still purchasing about 50% of the mortgage-backed securities currently, but everyone knows that they are going to end their mortgage-backed security purchases. And so everyone's trying to figure out like what the timing of that looks like, but they know that once inflation comes up. And once the unemployment numbers come down, that's when they're going to start to taper. And with the vaccines coming into place and there's less infection rates, they know that jobs are going to start happening again, things are going to reopen. That's going to cause unemployment to come down, which is a good thing. But it's also with the stimulus packages that are about to be approved, it's going to cause inflation to go up. So those two things are making investors say, well, the Fed tapering could be happening sooner than later. We don't want to get caught. And so they're taking money out of bonds, they're putting them into stocks, and we're seeing interest rates go up. And just based off of everything I'm watching, most analysts don't think we've hit the bottom yet. So we could continue to see rates get worse before we see them potentially get better. So many question marks on if they're going to come back down and when. So I'm always been a big believer in selling what I have, locking people in. It's not the rate that we're worried about, it's the monthly payment. And if the monthly payment is within their budget, then we lock in and we move on and we don't worry about it, because we've already had 2 days in the last couple of weeks where interest rates moved by 1/8% in one day, like within a couple hours. So it's volatile out there. It's not worth it. Still a great time to get into buy. This rapid appreciation is something that clients want to take advantage of, and we're going to do everything we can to help them get in. So if you have any questions on strategies, don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Awesome. You know what? The advice you just gave really reminded me. A lot of people say you can't really time the stock market. Like, get in when it's best for you. And like Amber just said, if you can make those mortgage payments, if they make sense and they can fit your budget and your lifestyle, do it. You know, you're never going to be able to know exactly what's going to happen in a day.
Right.
Awesome. Such good information. Thank you so much for sharing that, and then sharing the strategies, and that we know that people out there, people getting a loan, can still win with a loan and beat out cash. So
Yes.
good news all around for everybody. Amber, as always, we'll talk again next week. So thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
See you later. Bye.